When Tara was alive, she reminded me so many times there would be no you if there weren't a me. I opened mommy's womb. Let's be very clear on that.
I don't recall it hitting until the moment Tara was being lowered.
Yeah.
That is when I believe my body and my soul, my physical and my spirit, like started to like disconnect and reconnect.
With the passing, life has shown us like we are all we have.
Truly. Truly. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane and I create content on all things related to life, law, and love. Since the passing of my eldest sister, Victoria Bobmanuel, I've decided to rebrand my channel to focus on wounds to wisdom. Today's conversation is one that is very personal and difficult for me. Over the last year, I have been navigating this grief journey. And for that reason, I sit down today with my sisters, not as experts, but as people that are trying to find purpose after loss. If you've ever lost someone, you're experiencing any type of pain, then this conversation is going to be very beneficial to you. So I hope that you're blessed. Without further ado, I will introduce Melinda and Tanya. Okay. So, Melinda, can you briefly introduce yourself and in one sentence, just tell us about how you would describe Victoria Bobmanuel, our eldest sister?
Hi guys and gals. I am Melinda. I go by Bumbo. I am the number 3 of 4 girls. And how would I describe Tara?
In one sentence.
Tara was a funny, good time girl. Loving. She was a leader.
Okay, thank you. Tia, can you introduce yourself and describe Tara in one sentence, please?
I can introduce myself, but I don't think I can describe Tara in one sentence. My name is Tonya, and I am number 2 of 4. And Victoria, as we knew her in the house, or as we called her in the house, Tara in one sentence. Tara was purpose-driven. She's one of the few people that I know that knew their purpose very early on. And as a result of that, she embodied with so much clarity and determination who she was going to be in this world, in her community, in every environment that she found herself. And it was evident in her personality. On a personal level, to me, she was my first friend. She, besides mommy and daddy, is the person I've known the longest. I'll wrap it up with that.
Thank you. Okay, so I won't introduce myself, but I will say that Tara was a very strong woman, and we'll unpack this later, but it was her strength that always like stuck out to me the most. Like you saw her strength in her character. You saw it when she interacted with people. You saw it in her day-to-day activities. So she was a strong woman of God, a strong leader, a strong sister, a strong daughter. So the next thing that I want to talk about is when Tara passed away, I want to talk about the moment it happened and how our lives changed. And I know this will not be an easy conversation. So for the people that are watching this, give us a minute. We might need a minute or two. And also for my sisters, if you do have to pass on the question, that's completely fine. What was the hardest part, the first days or weeks after Tara's passing? Like, what was the hardest part for you? What was the hardest part for you, Bumbo?
The hardest part for me was actually believing she wasn't, not believing, but understanding we would not see her again. All the moments we did have together, the things we didn't get to say, didn't get to experience. Yeah, I would say the absence of her presence, that was the hardest part, coming to terms with that.
And I was going to ask you the same question, but I actually have a different question for you. Was there something about grief in this season, like within the first few days or weeks, Tanya, that surprised you?
Interesting enough, because I'm actually going to piggyback on what Bomo said.
Okay.
About, and then I'll also get to that because it's connected, about the wrapping my mind around not seeing Tara. Because for me, what was difficult was having to plan such a grand event for someone that wasn't present. That to me was the biggest mental obstacle. Like, you are making assumption about certain things and also recalling to memory what you believe you knew they liked and wanted, and planning something around who they are
without their say
so, and planning something about what they would have. And so you're like, but I just spoke to this person yesterday.
Yeah.
I could just ask them this question, but the reality is they're no longer there. So that was difficult. But in terms of what grief has been like in the past few days or the recent days afterwards, that's difficult for me to answer because I jumped right into the project management, planning, logistics, and arrangements and people management and family management. And so that's all a part of grief, but I don't recall it hitting until the moment her was being lowered.
Yeah.
That is when I believe my body and my soul, my physical and my spirit, started to disconnect and reconnect. And I was now in the present moment of I was now in awareness of what was taking place. She's really being buried. So grief for me looked a lot different for you all in the days soon after, right? There were times where you had the opportunity and space to process it by yourself in the room, where people weren't demanding, even though they may wanted to see you, they weren't demanding to see you.
Yeah.
You were present, through all the planning and stuff, but a lot of the tough decisions and initiatives fell on me. So soon after, it looked very different for all of us.
So what I'm hearing is that grief is not linear. Grief looks different for everybody. It looks different in every season. And I can say that the first days, weeks were really... So initially I was in shock because before our sister passed away, I had spoken to her about 30 minutes before she passed away. So I was in shock upon arriving at the hospital, in shock. Everything just in shock and disbelief. I remember one time you called mommy and I think you said something along the lines of, she's not gone. They need to check her pulse again. I was in shock. You keep thinking that this person that is gone is going to walk through the door. In our community, people were coming to the house every second per minute. And I'm like, why are they here? She's going to show up. It almost feels like you're being pranked, but it's an experience you can't explain. And I feel like I processed my grief with a lot of sleep. I don't want to label it as depression, but it definitely was. There's something called being a functional depressant. So you can do your everyday tasks. You can go to work, you can interact with people, but you are very well depressed. And I slept through last year. We talked about it not too long ago. Last year we were walking, but our eyes were closed. It felt like a blur. Things were happening. We were there physically. That was it. A lot of last year was a blur, but from both of you, the perspective that both of you have shared, I'm gathering that grief isn't linear, and really you take it one day at a time. You meet yourself every single day. You look in the mirror and you meet yourself where you are. You give yourself grace. You expect grace out of people, but you also give yourself grace to recognize, I've never been through this before. This is new. Our family dynamic has changed. And so it's just a process. And speaking of family dynamic, I want to go into how our family dynamic has changed. Do you feel like losing Terry, do you feel like it brought us together, or do you feel like it created a little bit of dysfunction? What are your thoughts since her passing? How has the family dynamic changed? You can just talk about that.
Well, I would say it's definitely brought us closer together. I felt we were already close, but with the passing, life has shown us we are all we have.
Truly. Truly.
We know time is fleeting. But with the passing of our oldest sister, brought it to the forefront, and it's just made it all the more real that nothing lasts forever. And so I do feel with that, we have drawn closer to one another, and we're cherishing the moments because sadly, you never know when they're going to end.
Yeah.
So I don't do my best not to take them for granted, and been leaning on my sisters in this season more than I feel like not to say I've had to in the past, because I've definitely leaned on them, but I think we've drawn closer for sure.
Yeah. I will let you answer and then, I will answer and then I'll let you answer, because I don't want to lose my train of thought. I feel like losing our eldest sister brought us together. The thing is, though, we were already close. It's already you got an issue with one, you got an issue with all. She did what? Oh, I'm there. Oh, okay.
And that goes for anybody.
Parents
included.
Parents included. So I feel like it brought us together, but I feel like at the beginning of this journey, I don't know if this is youngest child syndrome, I kind of felt far away from y'all. I felt like y'all were there, obviously very comforting. The support was there. When people were showing up to the house, we would have a team hustle, a team meeting in my room before we go to the living room. Mind you, the living room is out my door. It's outside my door. A team huddle. And we would talk and she in the living room. But at the same time, I kind of felt far away because the leader of the pack is no longer here. Mm-hmm. I felt like I don't know how to explain it. I felt like we were connected, but we were still disconnected, because when Terry was alive, she reminded me so many times, there would be no you if there weren't a me. Like, I opened mommy's womb. Let's be very clear on that. And so when she passed away, I was like, does this group still exist? And it did. It still does. It always will. But when the person who initiated it, when the person who, the womb opener, the Ada, the leader of the clan, the one of four is no longer, it's tough. And so it played with my mind in the beginning, and some days are still harder than others because I'm like, Terry's not here, what are we doing? But it did bring us together, and it has made me see them just in a different light, respect them even more, honor them more, cherish this thing called sisterhood even more. But in the beginning, my brain was doing something, my body was doing something else. What about you?
That's interesting that you said that. I didn't know you felt furthest from us. I mean, now that you said it, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. But to what you said about maybe being the youngest, I do think that you're not only the youngest, you're years apart in age. And so as a result, there's a huge difference in that as well.
Yeah.
This is probably the most traumatic event in your life that you could recall.
Yeah.
Though this is not the most traumatic. This is one of the most traumatic things that we've experienced, right? And I mean, I thank God that we haven't experienced a lot of tragedies, but we have experienced at least two major life events, right?
Yeah.
That we've had to adjust through and work through and lean on each other through. And so for me and Bumbo, this was another life event that we locked arms and journeyed through together. Yeah. And now you're old enough to do it with us. And you know, say how Pastor says, if your faith is not enough, like I have enough faith for you, right? If your strength is not enough, we have enough strength for you. And I believe that I believe and I hope that
I tapped from y'all's strength.
Yes. Yeah. And I hope that it was sufficient, right, to carry you through.
Yeah.
We speak about the admiration that we have for you in this season and how you stayed the course to do and overcome and follow through on your obligations, educational pursuits in that season. And you may not connect with how significant and profound it was for you to do that in such a season, but it was, and we admire you for that. And so going to the question about our relationship, we're
locked in.
We're locked in, even more locked in. Now the key doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. The key to unlock doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a man or woman born of a woman that could separate, penetrate.
Yeah.
And I thank God that we have the foundation of closeness and friendship well before such an event. And that's much thanks to mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
Right?
Upbringing plays a
Upbringing, and the relationship, relationship qualities that they've instilled in us, and ensuring that we're friends. You can't force siblings to be friends.
Correct.
You actually can't. That's something that we determine, even though we're very different.
We like ourselves.
We truly like ourselves.
And though you cannot force siblings to like themselves, the thing about it is, like, what is beneficial to us, and this is not a blow to anybody who comes from households where mother and like different parents, but like that's the blessing, and we were raised together. And so someone might have a sister from the father's side, and this can't be her reality. Well, it can be her reality, but it's challenging because she didn't grow up with her. I know somebody who recently told me they're trying to develop a relationship with their sister on their mother's side, but they're now in their late 20s, early 30s, and it's like they're different people.
Even people that are in the same household, raised together, sometimes it just doesn't work that way.
That's true.
That's true.
You're right. And I say this all the time. Family is who you choose to a degree. Everyone is not does not have the opportunity, to your point, right? They have different family dynamics, or they experience loss, or one or two things, a variety of circumstances that impacts, siblingship. It's who you choose. One thing you said about we like ourselves, that's a choice. We actually truly like ourselves.
Like, real bad.
It's a situation where if I seen you guys on the street, you weren't my sisters, I would like you.
Yeah.
Right? I would
Your
like
hair
you.
is cute. Like,
oh my gosh. So we like ourselves.
Yes.
So it's one thing to be siblings. You don't have a choice about that. It's another thing to be friends.
Yeah.
And we truly like ourselves. And I'm so grateful to have sisters that I like.
Admire.
And admire
Yes.
and respect.
Yes.
And Turia being the woman, I love that. Like I die. She didn't play about that. And the reminder that she was the womb opener.
Yeah.
And she was second mommy, but she was also
big mommy.
She was big mommy, yes. And she was also our friend, and she liked us too, right? And so in terms of Turia is a person that's going to remind you of your gifts and talents.
Yeah.
She's going to hold you accountable to them.
Yes.
That's not necessarily a sister's thing. That's a friend thing.
That is,
right?
yeah.
Wants to see you win, encourages you.
Yes.
And so in her presence, when she was here,
Mm-hmm.
we were close. In her absence, we're closer.
Yes.
I feel like it was important for me to really solidify that closeness, because what I felt when Turia left was we had a hole.
Yeah.
We had a hole in our family.
Yeah.
Right? And what happens when there's a hole? Things leak through, things come in, things whatever. And so it created an insecurity in me, right? And not like a mental insecure, like not the insecurity that people think, oh, you're insecure, but that insecure, like uncertainty of our family dynamic, right? And I seen what tragedy or life events do to people individually, right? Let alone relationally.
Yeah.
And so there was that fear, but there was the confidence that we were going to be fine. I said it in the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, what was the thing I said right after? I'm like, we're gonna be fine.
I feel like you just keep saying, and this was since last year, it is well. Like it is well.
Because it is well.
It's gonna be okay. And crazy things can be happening. She'll say it, I'm like, is she actually well? Like, is she okay? You see what just happened?
I heard you.
So,
because it is well.
how do y'all, like, how did we support each other during the grief? Like, how did we support each other during the pain? I can say that I stayed in the house all of last year. Like, I'm still in the house. I'm home. I'm home. I'm my own body. I've taken it to another level. But one thing that y'all keep pushing, get out, dress up, make your hair, get out. And last year, you would just say, like, you want to go to the park? I'm like, what's my business with grass right now? Like, I'm grieving. And you would say, you want to go to the park? You want to go see the horses? You want to go do this? Y'all really pushed me to get out, because one thing grief will do is it will hook you, and as it hooks you, it'll be pushing you down. You think you're fighting the grief. You're not even opening the windows. Like, how
Can I say something real quick about, we talk about grief. So grief is, we have an understanding of grief, right? Not a full understanding, because grief is very complex. Sometimes you grieve things that are not even...
They haven't transitioned.
That even haven't even correct. Now, if we could take a spiritual for a second, right?
We're getting there.
Okay. I'm saying I gotta go there. But grief is also, it's a tactic of the enemy as well.
Of
right?
course, yeah. It's a strategy.
It's a strategy. It's absolutely a strategy. You mentioned earlier about, you used the word depression.
Mm-hmm.
And grief embodies that. It shares characteristics of depression.
Yeah.
And so in that intentionality and resistance to fall too deep into grief, you have to do things you would otherwise not do.
You have to also be very intentional about doing these things, because on an ordinary day, you might do them, and then something could take your mind away from it to where you don't do it, and you're like, oh, I didn't do it. But with the grief, you have to be intentional. That's what I meant by when I said earlier in the conversation, waking up every single day and looking at yourself. Like, I can't even remember what I said, but it was something like facing yourself. Like, that's what I mean about being intentional. You have to wake up and say, no matter what the weather is, no matter how I feel, I am intentionally getting out of bed. I'm getting dressed. I'm making my bed. I'm getting out the house. What are they saying? Touch grass?
Well, what would you say, like, what are some things that you would say grief encourages? Like, what are some things in terms, like, mentally, what does grief say?
Grief says do nothing. Grief says to stay in that same position and just be sad.
Yeah.
And what does the Bible say? Bring every thought to submission.
So grief is robbing you of your joy, the little joy that you have. You're looking for the silver lining in this situation, because let's be clear, there is a silver lining in this. The Bible actually also says that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So you're believing that this person is not physically here, but spiritually they're with their Father who gave you this person as a blessing on borrowed time. And grief is like, no, that's grief is telling you the opposite of what you believe, what you were raised, what you were born into. And you're intentionally rewiring your brain to believe that which you believed before the passing of this person. And you have to be intentional about that. You have to be strategic about that, because the grief will come from every direction. You will turn on something on the television and you were fine. You were okay. You were on edge. You know, you were holding on. You see something on TV and you're done, because grief is robbing you of the little that you have left, the little joy, the little peace, the little optimistic ideas that you have, that this too shall pass. Like, grief is taking all of that away.
Yes, grief. And tell me if you guys experience this. Guilt.
Yeah.
Guilt
Survivor
about
syndrome.
Guilt about, like, there were moments where, like, all I wanted to do was think about her 24/7.
Yeah.
I wanted to still remember how she smelled.
Yeah.
I wanted to still remember her voice. I mean, there were times in my day where I'd be like, if she walked in, this is what she would say at the door.
Yeah.
If she sat down, if she ate, if she ordered, if she did this,
Yeah.
I would carry her along in every moment of my day. And if it got to a point, because they say time heals all wounds, and what does time do what happens with, over time is you don't think about the person in the same capacity, whereas like you're maybe longing for them in that same capacity, like when it just happened, right? And so I would feel guilty if I went 30 minutes or an hour without thinking about her.
Yeah.
I would feel guilty the first time I like laughed or went out to dinner or spoke to a friend and didn't talk about, like, I started to feel this guilt. And so I knew that this is all a part of grief. If I'm not mindful and intentional and I don't give myself grace, I would fall further and further
into
it. Yeah.
And before we dive into wounds to wisdom, I want to talk about how the other day in prayer, I actually said I didn't want to make grief my identity. Like, yes, my sister has passed away. Like, yes, I've lost a sibling, and this could be a shared traumatic experience, or like people go through these things, but I don't want that to be my identity. But also finding the balance to honor her, like remember her, because she can't be forgotten. She will never be forgotten, but also not make it my identity, because the grief will do something to you in such a way that you begin to think it's just me that it only happened to, and this is now my life, this is my identity. No, you still are a sister, you still are a daughter, a mother to be, a wife to be. Like, there are still so many things about you, things to explore. It's just not the fact that you lost your oldest sister, you lost a loved one, you lost a parent. Okay, so wounds to wisdom. When I started this channel, I've had my YouTube channel for over a decade. And initially I started posting vlogs. On TikTok, I would post faith-based content. But this channel has been dedicated to vlogs and just my life. And obviously faith is a big part of my life. It is my whole life. Like, my faith is my identity. It's rooted in Christ. So I want us to talk about how did we find strength in this time? In this, like, when things felt really impossible, what did y'all look to? And I can start first. I can answer this question first. When things got tough, I rebranded this channel. Like, I had a conversation with you about how, like, this life thing, it's meaningless, it's short, like you can't predict what's next. Let me just do what I know to do, and that's to pray, serve God. Like, so when things got really tough and days, weeks, months, holidays came around and people stopped calling and life just moved on for everybody else. But for me, for us, I felt like it was still at a standstill. I watched 5 sermons a day. I listened to more podcasts. I listened to worship music. I did things to keep myself sane, because the answers that I was looking for, the solutions, the encouragement, I could only find it in His Word. Obviously, though, this channel, this rebranding, I was looking for this content too. I was looking for sisters with the same skin tone. I was looking for women of the same caliber, the same age, same demographic. I was looking for people that I could relate to who had been through something just as traumatic. And I couldn't find that. I know people have lost a parent. That's not the circumstance here. So when things felt really, really difficult, I got deeper in His Word and I discovered that, hey, maybe this is a part of my purpose. And how can I take this wound, this pain, this scar, and turn it into wisdom, a nugget of hope for somebody else? What about y'all?
I mean, you all were front row center for my process. I experienced additional tragedy during that season, and I was, as someone who always has the answer, as someone who always knows what to do, you guys call me, I know I got a solution, I got a word, I got encouragement. It was the first time in my life.
You weren't in control.
Beyond that, it was the first time in my life I did not have a word for myself.
Okay.
It was the first time in my life I didn't have an answer. I did not have a plan, a solution. I could not see beyond the moment.
Yeah.
And I, much like you, I don't know if you all have felt this, but like I didn't recognize myself.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking after one of the many consecutive days that I did not leave the house, I remember thinking to myself, if you don't make a change, like if something doesn't happen, you likely won't recover from this. But I know who God says I am.
Amen.
Right? And I'm an overcomer. And so I did the only thing I could do. Even when I did not have strength to eat, I fed on the word. I got in my word. If I didn't have the strength to pray, I worshiped. And eventually, over time, I started to be able to do other little things. But the biggest thing for me was God. Yeah. More God.
God some more.
And some more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And God's word, His word, just promises. Everything. I was taking it, and my strength started to be like.
So were you overdosing on it?
Over what? Call me a Jesus addict. You know how they say Jesus baby, Jesus addict. I could not and cannot and still cannot get enough. I will say it time and time again. There is no recipe for this. Yeah. What did church say? God will help. The Lord will help. The Lord will help you. Was her word, and that word.
She left it with us.
The Lord will help you. Yeah. And that is who has and who is and who will continue to help me. That's my own. God.
What about you, madam?
It'd be the same, God. However, there were times when I did not want to hear the word initially. I would say in those moments, there were times I leaned on worship music or journaled. I did whatever I felt like at the time. If I didn't feel like moving, I did not move. If I wanted to go outside and touch grass, I touched grass. So not to be, I don't know how the word for it, but like I listened to my body. Yes. And again, leaned on them. If they had, like, not even if they had a word, just hoping they could pray for me or leaning on each other's strength to get through. But there were times I wasn't even strong enough to pray. Like I didn't feel like praying.
Yeah.
Can I mention something that I think was also
Go for it.
That I also, one was really, it's beautiful now. In the moment it felt like it was instinctual, right? Do you remember when we all like we moved in, like the night that it happened? Yes. Did you follow me home? Who came home with me?
Oh, I came home.
You came home with me.
And we didn't sleep.
We did not sleep. We were after we got home from the hospital and mommy got mommy settled.
Oh my God.
We went home. It was in the middle of the night. I think it was like, anyways, in the middle of the night. Yeah. And we got home within a couple hours. We grabbed things and I knew I wasn't coming back to my place. Yeah. And we lived together for well over a month. Yeah. And we
Amen.
We lived together. I remember. I know what you just said. So I know life is funny.
That's and then at that time we got closer.
No, so
I promised to do that because I said I was gonna do it later.
Why am I trying to tell the camera?
We're good. Like we were real good. But the ability to do that, amongst other things, you did well, keep it up. But amongst other things, right? So not only the ability to, and again, our circumstance is very different than the average person, right? You had support where you did not have to rush back to work. Yeah. You were able to.
I did my last semester of law school online, and just was able to, like, I had professors that were like, "Do what you need to do."
Yeah, and then I, with my
line of work,
I had the ability to navigate that uniquely as well, and beyond all that, so like. I want to say God does everything for me. He worked everything out for our good and strategically and for our good. But our ability to be under the same roof together, start our mornings together, spend the days together, the evenings together, even though
we can leave.
The sounds of the wails and tears and crying was happening all over the house at different points in time. We had each other. Yes. When the dust settled and the crowd, diminished. In the evenings, we had each other. Yeah. And I really enjoyed that. I mean, when it was
like a sleepover that was indefinite. Like
Yeah.
there was no pick her up at noon on the 6th.
I gotta go. I gotta come back.
And nobody was gone for long. Y'all would
Nobody
do
was gone.
something
We
and they
couldn't.
come back and they would like leave and say, "Tan, you good?" No, honestly, I'm not good. When are y'all coming back? And they just left 5 minutes ago, and then we just sit in the car and talk outside of the house because Houston had.
Didn't one auntie tell us,
go catch a movie.
Go catch fun.
Go catch fun in this climate.
And our catching fun was, hey, I'm just gonna drive up the street.
Yeah.
And we would just drive up the street when our
for fresh air.
Just for fresh air, just to get away. From all the unique,
a light bite.
Yeah. A light bite, yes. From all the unique personalities that were coming to visit us. And we would just sit in the car and just laugh and cry. Like we would find.
We were still in shock. So we were trying to process it.
We were cracking like cynical jokes that only we could understand in that time. But just the ability and the opportunity to live underneath the same roof with you all after so many years.
Yes. Because I don't remember us living together. I think it was high school, but because our gap is so, y'all are years apart. So I've always been the only child. I mean, there was a time where y'all were home, but I just don't. No, listen. I'm just saying there was a time where we were in the house together, but I was the youngest. So I don't remember that time. So us being in the same roof now, 30s, at that time I was late 20s, I can remember.
And ages out of it, for sure.
So I want to know, my therapist asked me the other day, he said, do you feel like this was a loss? And initially no one has ever asked me that question. And when he asked me, I was like, Ray, repeat yourself, because we say loss. Like I lost my sister, she passed away. But now when I think about it and when I answered him, I said no. It wasn't a loss. Like physically, she's no longer here. So when you do the math, 4 minus 1 is 3. So she's not physically here. We're shorter. It's not the same amount of people. But I said we gained. She's not here. And we're not here wondering. People pass away every single day, and my heart is with the people. I think about that American Airlines plane that crashed into the helicopter. They couldn't find their bodies. We laid our sister to rest in the most beautiful way. There's a prayer we say on the altar of fire. O earth, you will not collect my bones. My blood shall not be spilled over you. There was no blood. There was no bones. We laid her to rest. They did her makeup. I say, yes, physically, the numbers have changed, but we gained. We laid her to rest. There's no missing sign. We gained. The whole situation is a gain. And I see it as a gain because she blessed us with her personality. She blessed us with her character. She left nuggets of hope. She opened the womb. So what do y'all see it as?
A loss or a gain?
A loss or a gain?
Heaven gains, we all gain.
Okay. Oh, that's a good. You just put everything that I said into one sentence. Same for you?
I would say it was a gain because, again, the same way she left us with the nugget of like, the Lord will help us. She did, in addition to us getting closer, we definitely drew closer to Christ in this time. We gave an angel. We lost her physically, but her presence is felt like in a way where it's not a loss completely because although she's not here, we still feel her. We see her. In different things. There's certain situations where you, again, as she said earlier, you'll know or think about what she might have said, done, just her personality. So.
Yes. And how do you all honor her? I want to go first. I want to say something like crazy, but because kids might be watching this and I don't talk like that, I honor her by being a woman of integrity. I wanted to say I honor her by not being a punk.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I honor her by being a woman of integrity and moving with courage.
You don't even talk like that.
I don't. That's why I said I don't. But like, just to add.
Yeah, it's okay. But you don't talk like that.
But, moving with courage and confidence, but integrity. That integrity, doing the right thing when no one is watching, being a woman of your word, being able to repeat things and not moving like a coward. Like I honor her by doing what I said I was going to do, even when it's hard, even when it feels like there's no resources, even when it feels like it's not the right time. I honor her by recording this episode, not just talking about her life, but saying I'm going to do something, actually doing it. and not giving up. She was a fighter. I said at the beginning of this episode that she had a lot of strength. And so I honor her by carrying that same strength in everything that is presented to me.
How do I honor her? I honor her by honoring myself. Again, doing the thing, as you said, doing what you say you're going to do. And she believed in anything endeavor you told her you were interested in. She would encourage you or encourage us. So sticking to, not even sticking, but just doing what you say you're going to do. Also being fearless, because Sarah was very fearless. Nothing, if things did scare her, she didn't show it. She would just
head on
and all the way through.
Yeah.
Regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
I honor Turia through my walk with Christ. Turia was a
woman of God.
Relentless believer. She was a relentless woman of God. She was, I'm going to say, with your gifts, your talents, your resources, and your time, Turia dedicated her life to the work of God, and whatever that looked like. Not only in church, she was a worker in church, dedicated worker for church, but she sold the gift of faith and ministry, and everything she did and everywhere she went. You know, she would always have like stickers or T-shirts that she would make, or you know, any little trinkets, you know. And she'd be like, she'd like, oh, I got this for you. And it would say, God loves you, or Jesus loves you, or whatever. And I feel it's the same thing with Uncle Bassie, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing he left behind. And then took that on. Mm-hmm. And in ways, I feel like I am honoring her in that, right? In her unwavering faith. Yeah. And showcasing that boldly, unapologetically, and sewing it into everyone I meet. Yeah. Every environment I find myself in, and everything that I do.
Good for you, girl. That's good. That's beautiful. Because, that's really beautiful. So we are going to end in just a few moments, but I want to give advice to anyone that might be navigating a season like this. Can you both kind of share what you would say to someone who has just lost, not just a loved one, but a sister? It's different. Grief is tough, but I feel like I can't compare losing my grandpa to losing Turia. So what advice would you give to someone who just lost their sister? It doesn't have to be oldest sister, but a sister.
What would I say? The advice I'm giving myself, or what I'm actively doing, lean not on your own understanding, really and truly, because with that, you will question everything. You'll question why it happened, why her, why, so you lean not on your own understanding, but also one thing I'm doing as well is journaling my any and everything. I talk to her in a specific journal, listening to worship music, crying when I feel like it, reminiscing but not lingering, like not thinking too much about the fact that her absence, about like her presence being not here. So
that's good.
You gotta go to God. Go to God. It gets better.
It does get better.
It really does. It does.
I would say be the sister that is no longer here in the best and most positive way. So pick up where this sister left off. Like, you're not just doing things to honor her, but you're doing things to also honor yourself. If this sister, our sister, loved children, I like kids, but the way she liked kids is a little different. And so I'm trying to explore what does she like about a 2-year-old with snot coming out of their nose? Like, what does she like about having to repeat? She was patient. She was understanding. And so the more you dive into doing what this person did and like exploring, you begin to find out new things about yourself. She was creative in her own way, unique in her own way. And so as I'm trying to be what she is no longer in the best way, there's a version of me that's also springing forward. Mm-hmm. So be that person that is no longer here in the best and most positive way.
Mine is going to be about time. And on the note of it gets better, allow time to do its thing. Yeah. Don't rush time and do not try to slow it down. Allow time to take place. Take notice of how you feel and what's occurring at every moment in time. Yeah. And recall what is happening today, wherever, at whatever moment, if it's a more recent loss,
Mhm.
or it's a lot that's taken place a while ago, and look forward to the time ahead, um, and take notice, take account of who you are
Yeah.
since then. Allow time to do its thing, and if you're a believer, allow God to do His thing.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. And the last thing that I will also add is people are going to say things that, you might find really triggering and offensive in this season. And sometimes it's from a good place. Sometimes it's from a place of people just running their mouth because for the sake of like trying to console you. But regardless of whatever they say, you're giving yourself grace, but you're also recognizing what just happened. Nothing can prepare you for the loss of a loved one, whether it's someone that has cancer, the doctors are saying 6 months, 1 hour, like nothing prepares you for the absence. So as you navigate this and people are giving you advice, take what works, what is going to be like what you feel like is beneficial in this season, and block out the noise. Like people are coming to console you, but they've also never been through this. So what do they have that they're basing their experience off of? But sometimes it's coming from a good place. So just take what you need. If you don't have a headache, then you might not need Tylenol in it right now. Take what you need and use what you have, but also find community in this season. Find people that have, they've went on a journey like this and they can help you with this journey. But also recognize that this is, in a way, like it's a solo journey. Like you go through this grief thing by yourself because people will stop calling, people will stop texting. Like life just will move on. And so you have to forge on, and you will forge on. The light will shine again. You will not feel this way forever, and this too shall pass.
On that note, don't feel compelled to go through this process the way you're being advised to go through this process. Especially, those of us who are born into cultures that have very strong positions or traditional practices around loss. Oftentimes we are encouraged and demanded to do things a certain way, handle things a certain way, even religiously, right? There are certain expectations put on how and when, and how dare you still be shedding a tear 3 months after, right? And you feel like something may be wrong with you because it's 2 years in and you still cannot speak about this person without getting emotional. All of us have different relationships with going to the cemetery to see our sister. All of us have different experiences with that, and neither one of us is stronger than the other. One of us could look at videos and pictures of Turia every single moment of the day after her passing, and there's one of us that could not, right? Even up till now, there's one of us that still cannot look at a picture or video without it changing our entire emotional disposition. So let no one tell you how you should do and not do during this time. Do what works for you.
So with that, I would like to say that Victoria's life didn't end with her passing. Her love, her lessons, and impact she had on us and everyone around her continued to shape us into the women that we are. And if this conversation helped you in any way, please share it with someone who would also find it useful. And if you're navigating grief right now, we see you and we are praying for you. From our wounds, we are learning to find wisdom. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.